watching Cartell TV and I'm Amelia. Hey, have you subscribed? Good, off we go. The Hyundai Santa Fe has been a very popular model throughout its generations. It is, in fact, one of the most popular SUVs in its price range. This new update brought with it a lot of changes, but Hyundai doesn't really call it all new. Instead, despite the changes, this is officially a facelift for 2021. This is a chance to see if they've updated it well enough, and what better way than to have a look at the top trim that I've got here called the Highlander. In total, there are 4 trims, starting from just under $45,000 for the entry-level petrol model and all the way up to over $65,000 for this top-of-the-range in the more expensive diesel guise. The Santa Fe has become a bit of a legend over these past 2 decades, and this updated model definitely lives up to that reputation. Let's take a look. The outside got some upgrades that obviously draw from the latest models within the brand. These thin, sharp lights at the top are DRLs, and they look even sleeker than before, and they protrude into the headlights, forming a nice T shape. The cascading grille looks great, and the LED headlights come standard, even for the entry level. Another novelty in this one are these 20-inch wheels. The overall shape is similar to the old one, but a bit more modern. The front is large, and it looks like something that the USA market might welcome on their models, but I mean, it's not as gangster as a Palisade. The side is minimalistic with a few creases and a raising lower window line, which makes the rearmost side window smaller. The rear is nothing to write home about, but it fits the picture perfectly. Now, there are 2 different engine options, each with their own respective features, and to be honest, I actually prefer the diesel. Let me tell you what they are on paper, and then we'll see how well they translate to the driving experience. First of all, petrol is front-wheel drive only, while diesel is all-wheel drive. Now, call me old-fashioned, but if I'm paying extra for an SUV, tyres, fuel costs, ground clearance, then I'd probably welcome in some extra sure-footedness as well. Secondly, the petrol is a 3.5 V6 and the diesel is a 2.2 inline-4, but the latter is turbocharged. While the power of the petrol is higher at 200 kilowatts versus 148 kilowatts for the diesel, torque is definitely on the side of the diesel. You get 440 Newton meters versus 331 Newton meters in the petrol. Moreover, the petrol being naturally aspirated, you need to rev it to 5,000 if you want to use all of them. The diesel has all that twisting force delivered from just 1,750 revs. In everyday driving, this should mean you get to use the push a little more often, and this should make the world of difference. Of course, there's the added benefit of lower fuel consumption. Officially, the diesel uses 6.1 litres per 100 kilometres, while the petrol uses 10.5 litres. In reality, both of these figures are optimistic, of course, but they are enough to give you an idea of how much more efficient the diesel is. There's also the hint of a hybrid maybe making its way to us in Australia. It will have a 1.6 turbo and a 44 kilowatt electric motor. It will get a bit more power than the diesel, a bit more torque than the petrol, and all-wheel drive. Now, I do want to mention a difference if you're choosing between the diesel and the petrol, and it's to do with the transmissions. The diesel gets a dual clutch gearbox and the petrol gets a proper automatic. Dual clutches provide a more immediate and smoother gear shifting experience, but typically they just work best when combined with heaps of power. I love dual clutch gearboxes in sports cars. Their hardcore nature makes the shifts far more immediate, and combined with power, they're just great in those applications. But when it comes to cars like the Santa Fe, they aim to fully engage the clutch as soon as possible to improve durability. This can be uncomfortable in slow city driving, let alone off-roading when you actually want some clutch slip. So proper autos are considered a better option for off-road driving and towing, and the diesel being the only all-wheel drive option, this is the kind of disparity between its features. If I'm being honest, this is a less important point because not many people are going to drive their Santa Fe off-road. However, when driving, I did learn that this engine is actually really nice paired with this gearbox. Sure, you do notice it is not a torque converter automatic, and I would still rather have that one in a car like this one, despite the increase in fuel consumption. But this one is paired with the engine and set up so well that you really have to actively search for the moments to complain. They are there, but you have to cherry pick. I have to point out the button-operated gearbox. It just makes a lot of sense as it leaves heaps of open space. And this setup is definitely better than rotational knobs that we can see on several models nowadays. And you do get paddle shifters here like any DCT should offer. In terms of engine, with 8 gears and torque that kicks in so early in the rev range, the Santa Fe feels effortless. There is a bit of empty space at really low revs. But the dual clutch is so fast, it just takes a fraction of a second to get you into comfortable revs, and it pulls with ease. And I tell you what, I'm loving it. Overtaking at legal speeds is very easy, and the only moment you feel it gets out of breath is when you're going fast track and trying to accelerate further. Don't ask me how I know. Also, sound installation now seems better, so this engine isn't as intrusive as the one in the pre-facelift model. Comfort is very good. The Santa Fe is very comfortable and easy to drive with a great mix of control and cushioned response. There's a knob that controls the drive modes, divided between drive and terrain sets. In total, they include comfort, eco, sport, smart, sand, mud and snow options. It kind of reminds me of the settings on some of the Land Rovers about a decade ago. I mean, don't expect that kind of ability. I should also point out capped price servicing for the first 5 years, at $459 for the diesel and $60 less for the petrol. This is a really nice offer. Larger infotainment screen comes standard with Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. It used to start with 7-inch, now it's 8-inch, but this top trim has 10.25-inch and 12.3-inch instrument cluster. Wireless charging is another benefit now available. But they've done it so cool, and instead of a flat area to sit your phone on, instead you have this pocket area that perfectly pouches your phone every time. This top trim gets a wonderful Napa leather, as well as heated and vented front seats and panoramic sunroof. On larger vehicles like this one, I really like a wide central console, and this one, it's just great. It elevates as it goes towards the dashboard, and the central controls are just perfectly positioned. It just sort of elevates and elongates from the armrest, and it makes for a really good use of continual space. That being said, believe it or not, you can't have this central console on the entry-level trim. Truly, it's not the same console across all trims. Go figure. Now, the quality in here is just awesome. Aside from these luxe leather seats, there's also leather across the entire dashboard with this exposed stitching, and it looks just fabulous. With several colours to choose from, you can really find a solution that suits your preferences. Storage spaces are also ample. Aside from the glove box, armrest bin, cup holders and door pockets, you also get this nice space under the central console. Rear outer seats are also heated, and this seems to be the most spacious second row ever for a Santa Fe. Yes, there is definitely enough space back here in this class. Of course, there is a central armrest, map pockets, cup and bottle holders, USB chargers and rear air vents. All cool and all expected, just like these comfy sliding and reclining seats. There are 3 rows of seats, but it's important to note that you will need a bigger vehicle if you want to carry 7 people regularly. The far rear is very restricted and definitely most suitable for small kids. If you want more, Hyundai offers a Palisade that we also reviewed recently. Even a third row gets these little cup holders and storage bins, but I doubt adults are going to be spending much time here. And you can, it is kind of spacious if you push this second row forward a bit. While safety is pretty good, as you will see in a minute, the Santa Fe does not have airbags for the third row. I suppose I don't think you'll actually be fitting people in here very often. Having 3 rows, the boot space has several different options. With all the seats up, you get 130 litres of space, or in other words, almost none. Remembering the size of the Santa Fe and the fact that it has 7 seats, that's all okay, as most buyers will mostly use it as a 5-seater. In those situations, you get up to 571 litres. As a 2-seater, you get more than 1,600 litres of space. Now, here's a hot tip. The Elite, which is just under this one, still comes packed with some of those more upmarket features. So, you don't have to go all the way up the trim ladder to get some of the features. Make sure you see what the differences are in the dealership. Maybe you can get all that you want and still save a few thousand. Expectedly, it's pretty safe with electronic parking brake with auto hold, rain sensors, ABS, brake assist, EBD, downhill brake control and hill start assist, traction control, vehicle stability management, blind spot collision avoidance, driver attention warning, forward collision avoidance, lane following assist, rear parking collision avoidance assist, rear cross traffic alert, smart cruise control, front and rear parking sensors, rear view camera and lots more. So, is it a perfect SUV? No, but it's a damn good one, and it does add to the benefits of the pre-facelift model in all aspects, other than body control. It is a great SUV, well worthy of its name and the current fine reputation that Hyundai has been building for themselves. Now, pricing for the latest Santa Fe. If I were to buy one, I would definitely go for the diesel in one of the top 2 trims. Yep, the Highlander is obviously the top one, but the Elite is actually pretty good too, and you possibly get more bang for your buck. If you are looking at lower trims or the petrol engine, you won't be disappointed either. But bear in mind, there is a reason why the diesel is some $3,500 more expensive than the comparably equipped petrol. It feels like a different car with that engine. If you don't mind the consumption or 4-wheel drive only, then the petrol is a really good shuttle your kids to school vehicle. But if you want more than that, then definitely go the diesel. Thanks for watching Cartel TV. Oh, don't mind me, I was just waiting for you to subscribe. See you next time.